whole lot of difference as the media cover the 2022 general election. So when that happens, we'll as well cross over back to Kisumu and just listening to that report being released. Now, listen, I need us to come back to Nairobi, and ODM leader Raila Odinga is at this hour meeting with Buy Kenya, Build Kenya team in Nairobi. He's speaking now. Could we listen in?
I came to my office one morning and said, Mr. Odinga, there is a Kalasinga who has been kicked out of Uganda. At that time, Idi Amin was kicking out Indians from Uganda. This Kalasinga had a workshop in Jinja. And what he did is he uprooted the machinery from his workshop and came with them here to Kenya. But he was making arrangements to go to the UK. So he wanted somebody to buy those machines. And he told me these machines are at a yard in a house in Parklands. So I went with him to the house and looked at the machinery. There were basically metal working machinery, the lathe machine, the rolling machine, the welding transformers, and so on. So I said, yes, I can do something with these machines. But he was selling them at 12,000 shillings, which I didn't have. My salary was 2,000 shillings. But then I had a left-hand drive Opel Kadett, which I had brought from Germany, which I sold, and I then bought those machines. And then I hired a workshop, and then called Kingston Road in the industrial areas, now called Kampala Road. And I went and then put those machines there. And I started a business of making casements, steel casements and so on, like steel doors, windows. And then on the German Independence Day, to the party, I met a German who was in charge of KIE. And when I explained to him that I'm teaching at the university, but I've also an industry, he wanted to come and see it. So when he came down there and looked at what we were doing, he said that we are trying to make industrialists out of laymen. But here is somebody who knows what to do, what is doing. So your project qualifies for expansion. And that is how he invited me to go to Kenya Industrial Estates. We went through with them and prepared a paper for an expansion of my project. And then I got a loan from the ICDC to now buy more machinery from Germany. And that's how I established my company, the East African Spectra Limited. And that's true. But I'm saying, you talked of 39% unemployment, because that is a very worrying figure. But can you be bigger? There's the Kenyan dream, coined by the founding fathers of our nation, which I will talk about. But you're saying that 75% of our population is under 35 years of age, which is a fact. So that is a youth. That youth can be a blessing or a curse, depending on how you use it. If they are not properly empowered, they become delinquents, drug addicts, criminals. But if they are properly empowered, then they become a source for wealth creation. This is important. So now we have Tibet, which in my view is doing a very credible job. But the problem we have here has been mentioned, the mismatch between the skills and the demands of the market. You have so many young people running around with papers, degrees from universities here. And there are a number of investors coming in the country to invest here, looking for people to employ. But the kind of qualifications our institutions are giving are irrelevant to the demand of the market. There's that mismatch. So these people are running around with certain papers. I've got a degree in public relations. I mean, there are certain you're asking, is that a university? I mean, I don't know what actually happened to our country. The curriculum really needs to be properly looked at by the government and approved, because you waste money that can be better deployed training somebody who is unemployable. This guy is not employed and he will not be employed. The other one is also our costs. You find the investors come here, they are looking for qualified manpower. But the demand in terms of wages is too high. For a quarter of what these guys are demanding, you can get an engineer from India and employ a very highly skilled in India. And that's what a number of the companies are doing here in industrial area, to do the same work. Because India is a cheaper market generally. Their demands are very, very low. So that again is something that we need to look at. Then we need to see, we in other words, making our training relevant and also our costs also cheaper. This is what a country like China has done. That you see, China was for a long time a controlled economy. But then what they were doing is they invested a lot in training institutions and training highly skilled manpower. So that when they liberalized the economy and now became attractive to investment, because there was highly skilled, cheap manpower in China. The raw materials were also cheap. So a number of these big manufacturing companies, the Mercedes, the Volvo, the BMW, the Ford, Toyota, Hyundai, you name them, all rushed to China. My friends in Germany tell me, Raila, it is cheaper to make a Mercedes-Benz in China and ship it back to Germany than the one that is made in Stuttgart. And by so doing, China became the factory of the world instead of other fields. So in that process, China was able to move 300 billion people from poverty to middle income status in 30 years. But I've been saying that China is no longer a cheaper destination, because as they become more affluent, their costs have become a little higher. There's a gap which is being left down there by China, which Kenya can easily fill, country like Kenya. So that is the direction that we must go. But to do that, we need to lower our costs so that we become also a cheaper destination. This is important. I mentioned to you the start when we started to incubate young industries in the country. But then that was the era of Kenyanization. Then the World Bank and IMF came and imposed what they called a liberalization. That this industry must compete. So he opened up and the market became flooded by cheap manufactured goods from external sources. And they killed a number of our industries. If you go these days to industrial area, it is not the industrial area that I grew up in. As industry. Industrial area has become a cemetery of factories. What used to be manufacturing factories employing 300, 500 people are now warehouses for containers carrying goods, storing goods from China. That only employs about 5, 10 people. You kill 300 jobs so that 5 or 10 people can survive. So the market is flooded with cheap imported goods from external sources. This is also an issue which the government must address. You are still addressing skills training here, but you are not then also addressing how you are going to make use of that manpower you are training so that you can be able to produce wealth in our country. That's why I was talking about made in Kenya. I saw an exhibition in Nanyuki of young Kenyans making very high quality goods here in Kenya. They make machines which you can use for making animal feeds. You can use them for making out of plastic waste. They make cabros for buildings and so on. Many very innovative ideas which need to be encouraged. But you can only encourage that if you also promote buy Kenyan, made in Kenya and bought by Kenyans. That is when after you capture the Kenyan market, then you can now look at first the regional market, the East African region, then COMESA, then African, because as you know, I'm promoting African Free Trade Area agreements. Make Africa a bigger market. Market access is very important. You know, I need to address not just production, but also access to the market, which these people, whatever these people are going to produce. So I believe very strongly that this country is playing below its capacity. Kenya does not deserve to play in the league in which it is playing. We used to be, there was a time when there was complacency, saying that we are an island of peace in a sea of turmoil. Then I said, no, you are a one-eyed man in the country of the blind. So you are the king. You need not to compare yourself with the countries around you here. Some of them are failed states. You need to compare yourself with the best, because that is the league where Kenya deserves to play. I've been telling them, if you look at the major economic factors or indicators between Kenya and South Korea in 1963, they were the same. The GDP, the per capita income, the literacy levels, the health, all the major economic indicators between Kenya and South Korea were almost the same, and Ghana. 57 years down the road, Korea's economy is 50 times larger than that of Kenya. You look at Hyundai, Samsung, LG, all made in Korea. And you here, not even a needle. You're manufacturing. So you ask yourself, what is it that the Koreans did right that we got wrong in this country? If you can answer that question, then you are on the way to resolving Kenya's problem.
ODM leader Raila Odinga there.